President Trump keeping up his assault on the mainstream media, tweeting the other day, 2 minutes after the morning shows came on, the fake news media is officially out of control. They will do or say anything in order to get attention. Never been a time like this. And we're back with Ed Henry. Ed, he loves Fox and Friends, which you're sometimes on, but the 7:02 tweet would seem to indicate that he's ticked off at the other morning shows, though he didn't provide anything specific.
Yeah, no, and he's watching the A blocks maybe of these shows that he claims he doesn't watch. Here's the bottom line. He has a beef, though, with some of this big picture coverage. I mean, you were talking at the top of the show about what was a major victory. A partial victory. He's got more to come on health care, but he moves the ball forward. And what is the narrative from the mainstream media? It's that people may die waiting for coverage because their premiums are going to go up so high, they're not going to be able to afford it. By that logic, wouldn't people already be dying from Obamacare when in the state of Arizona premiums are up 116%? How many times have you seen that on the morning shows, Howie?
Right. No, the dying narrative has come from some in the mainstream media, and particularly on the left. But now let me ask you about the president's fascinating interview with CBS's John Dickerson, because at the end of this interview on Face the Nation, he called it Deface the Nation on the air. They got into the original tweet about in which the president said that Barack Obama had authorized wiretapping against him, and it ended on kind of an awkward note. Let's check it out.
Yeah. You're the president of the United States. You said he was sick and bad because he had tapped you.
You can take any way. You can take it any way you want.
But I'm asking you, because you don't want it to be fake news. I want to hear it from President Trump.
You don't have to ask me.
Why not?
Because I have my own opinions. You can have your own opinions.
But I want to know your opinions. You're the president of the United States.
It's enough. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ed, what did you make of the way that John Dickerson kept asking the question, and we didn't even show the entire thing, and how it seemed to get under the president's skin?
He may have gone a little far, but I'd have to side with John Dickerson on this one. He's a fair journalist, by and large, and I think that he asked a legitimate question multiple times, which is the President of the United States started this whole thing about allegedly being wiretapped by former President Obama. And when President Trump doesn't want to talk about it, it's like, well, A, you started this conversation. B, rather than referring to the fake media, fake news media, as the President says, you know, spinning this, you're the President of the United States. I'm standing in the Oval Office. You tell me what really happened. That's a fair question from John Dickerson. And finally, what's the White House communications staff doing then if they think John Dickerson is so unfair, giving him that access in the Oval Office, a show that the president himself is calling Deface the Nation? Why did they even grant the interview then? I think John Dickerson is asking fair questions. Yeah,
well, he was pressing for an answer to the question that he was not getting.
He didn't get an answer.
All right, so amazingly, we found a lot of debate this week about the Civil War. And it came because of some comments by President Trump in an interview with the Washington Examiner. We've got audio of that. Take a listen.
I mean, had Andrew Jackson been a little bit later, you wouldn't have had the Civil War. He was a very tough person, but he had a big heart, and he was really angry that he saw what was happening with regard to the Civil War.
I understand the commentary. Andrew Jackson dying, I think, 16 years before the Civil War began. But was all the media scolding and finger-pointing a little over the top on this?
Yeah, I think this is a classic example where any utterance from Donald Trump becomes a national outrage that we're going to talk about for 2 or 3 days. And maybe you and I are guilty of it now. We're looking backwards at the coverage. But, look, could he have said that better? Should he have cleaned it up? Yeah. Sure, you could talk about that. But with North Korea launching missiles and all these other stories out there, the health care victory, the obsession that the mainstream media has on some of these side stories just gets ridiculous.
And on that note, Ed Henry, good luck with 42 Faith, which you're promoting down there in Florida.